Perhaps, look, perhaps I should like turn my actual microphone on and put my earpiece in. Why don't we start with that so I can get something accomplished, huh? Um, a couple of things I'd like to talk about. Maybe I should have my little piece of paper here. And that is Trump's phone conversation with the Georgia Attorney General, whoever the heck he was, Brad Raffensperger. Really ironic name, Raffensperger. At any rate, Raffensperger, and we'll talk a little about my thoughts on the Georgia Senate race. A couple of things. I listened to the conversation as much as I could find online. And, needless to say, of course, the resistance people, if you've been paying any attention to me, I'm not a big fan of the resistance. I'm not a big fan of MAGA. I'm not a big fan of either of these parties and the people that are close followers of either, the party or any particular figure in the party. To me, that's kind of cultish. And I see a lot of cultish behavior. So I'm not, if you're like, oh, I love Trump. Oh, Biden's the best. Republicans are good. And the Democrats are evil. Hey, no, you're wrong. It's the Democrats that are good and the Republicans that are evil. If you're one of those, you ain't probably going to be real thrilled with Garland Nixon. I'm not into what I consider cults right now. And clearly both of those parties have gone cultish. They're gone kind of Jim Jonesy on me. So at any rate, let's start with the Trump's conversation. Well, good and well, for the resistance people, for the blue brainwashed cult, if there was any kind of recording of Trump, if he was singing, Mary Had a Little Lamb, they'd flip out. Their hairs on fire. Oh my God, Trump saying Mary had a little lamb. He must be impeached immediately. I couldn't believe it. I literally saw some resistance people online saying, we've got to impeach him. I'm like, there's like 2 weeks left. I don't even think they got enough time to impeach or do much of anything. And you're like, really, the resistance people for 4 years have been like, hey, what time is it? Oh, I got about noon. What time are you? Time to impeach Trump. That's like them. Hey, what did Donald Trump do today? I don't know. I'm not sure. We'll find out. So we can say he needs to be impeached as a result of whatever it is. He got a drink of water. There we go. Impeach him for that. So the resistance people, that mad cult, as soon as Trump said that, you know what they're going to say. He's violated the law. He must be held accountable. He must be held impeached. That craziness, right? So I listened to it from the perspective of, all right, legally, did Donald Trump make himself liable to some kind of illegal action? When I listened to it, no. Here's why. It's pretty dopey. I mean, when I listen to it, here's what I hear. Donald Trump's basically saying, my data says that I won. Therefore, you should give it to me. The votes are there. Everything's there. I should be the winner because I have data, and that data says that I won, and I believe my data. That's important. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically summing it up. Okay. Meanwhile, old Mr. Raffensperger apparently says, I guess that's who it was. No, you're wrong. Dude, you were wrong. I'm sorry. Your data's incorrect. You don't get to win Georgia because my data says you doesn't win. So Trump's basically, if you listen to this, the argument is my data says I won versus my data says you didn't win, right? So what the resistance people are saying, Trump is saying that he should be held criminally accountable. He should be charged, but because he's trying to steal it. But whether you feel that Donald Trump's data is false or not, in my opinion, I don't feel it's much to it. But in order to establish a crime in this particular instances, there are some crimes that don't require, mens rea, criminal intent, etc. But in this instance, you would need to find, there's a few, not much, but in this instance, you would need to find, if you're going to charge him with something, you need to find mens rea. Mens rea is criminal intent, a criminal state of mind, right? That's what you'd have to show, that he was intending to violate the law, that he was intending to steal it, and he knew he lost. However, if you listen to what he said, it's clear what Donald Trump is saying. Donald Trump is saying, my data indicates that I won, and I believe my data. Therefore, you should give it to me. Those votes should be mine because I won, right? A criminal state of mind would be, I know I didn't win, but give it to me anyway. You see, that would be an intentional crime. Look, dude, if he called and said, look, oh, Raffin's perjure, dude, I know I lost. You know I lost. We both know I lost, right? Yeah, sure. We both know you lost. Cool. I'm down with that. I lost. However, nobody's paying attention. Nobody's looking. Hey, dude, just slip it to me anyway and I'll win. Let's just say I won, even though we know that would be intent and criminal intent. He knows he lost. He's trying to steal the election anyway, right? But as long as Donald Trump, no matter how absurd, and I think that his arguments are mostly absurd, but it's irrelevant. No matter how absurd you think his arguments are, it appears that he believes in his data. So Donald Trump doesn't apparently, according to that conversation, doesn't appear to feel as though I lost and you should give it anyway. He appears to feel as though, well, your data's wrong, mine is right, I won. Okay, in my opinion, Donald Trump is wrong. However, it's not a crime to be wrong. One could even argue that Donald Trump's data doesn't make a whole lot of sense, so it's kind of stupid. The courts will not find it, for the most part, a crime to be stupid or a crime to be wrong or a crime to believe false data. But the problem is, remember, mens rea is what you need for a crime. Criminal intent, right, requires that you believe it. It requires that you know you're violating the law and you have an intent to violate the law. When you listen to Donald Trump's conversation, it's pretty clear to me, at least that's the message that he sends. And that's what's important. The message that he sends verbally is, I truly believe that my data is right. And there's nothing you can tell me that's going to change my mind. I believe my data is right. They believe I should win. So therefore, you got no criminal intent. He does not believe he's violating the law. He believes that he won and it should be given to him. Therefore, I don't see a crime personally. I see a kind of a crazy kind of actions there, but I don't see a crime. And let me comment on that. I can do something on, I'll do something on election fraud and all that stuff. But I'll make this pretty clear, my thoughts on that. Look, if you were to argue, if Donald Trump were to argue, look, the machines are easily hackable, the machines can be changed, the machines have proprietary data, I don't trust these machines, he would have an argument that I would agree with, right? From my perspective, how can you trust the machines? If Donald Trump says, I don't trust the machines, okay. But all this business about all of these little, like somebody had a bag of votes here and somebody was carrying stuff around here. And so what it would have to mean is in Arizona, in Georgia, in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, all of these people either in a coordinated effort or randomly just happen to all say, hey, we're going to screw over Trump and we're going to do some weird stuff with ballots. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, I don't trust the machines. And if Donald Trump's argument is I don't trust the machines, I'd say you got a strong argument. The only pushback I'd have would be this. Dude, you've been there for 4 years. 2016, you won. And this is a hard argument to make. You won under this exact same system in 2016, and you didn't say a peep. You didn't say, hey, I won, but the system screwed up. And you had 4 years to say, look, here's what we're going to do. Okay, yeah, I won a wall or whatever, but I got a better idea. We're going to change these machines out. There's some voting problems here. You had 4 years to do that, nary a peep. He didn't do anything. He might have said something. He didn't push any legislation. He didn't push anything to happen. He talked about the wall, China, Iran, all kinds of things, but he didn't. When he won, he enjoyed that victory based on this election system. When he lost, he then cried the same election system that he won on in 2016 and that he was in charge over for the last 4 years, that he did not make any significant effort to change. He shut up about it until he lost. So it just appears to be a self-serving move. And here's the other thing. I don't hear Donald Trump saying, look, this system screwed up. Look at these machines, blah, blah, blah. We've got to fix the system for the future and the long term. That ain't what Donald Trump's saying. Donald Trump's saying, look, let's just flip it enough to give me some votes and then I'll win. And then after I win, screw it, we'll keep this system. That's kind of the way he's coming across, right? It's just coming across as a self-serving racket that he's up to here. So I'm not a member of either party. I'm not a member of either cult as I see him, so I don't have the I hate Donald Trump, I love Donald Trump, he's a crook, he must be impeached. Oh no, whatever you do, don't touch this dear and saintly man. I'm not even in either one of those camps. I'm just calling it like I see it, and I think that gives me a clearer base. Okay, so it's hard to argue that the man was president for 4 years and he won and he kept his mouth shut and he didn't try to fix the election system. And now that he lost, all of a sudden the election system's the worst. You should have fixed it the last 4 years. Might I add, remember Donald Trump had this election commission with Chris Kobach and all that, and they were trying to do various things about checking. Now, they were interested in checking who's eligible to vote, whether or not there's you have to use an ID, all this kind of stuff. They left the machines out. They left this stuff out, and they eventually disbanded it. So come on, cry me a river, Donald Trump. You should have did something while you were there if you felt that there was a fraudulent election system, but you kept your mouth shut when you won. So those are my thoughts on the first part. It's silly to say that he should be charged because he didn't say anything that would indicate criminal intent in the the infamous now Georgia phone call. Now let's talk about the Senate race. Let's get to the Senate race. Interesting here. What you've got is, Georgia changing. It's bluing some, whatever that means. It's getting some more people that are Democrats are voting. More people that are Democrats are getting registered. So therefore, it's getting a lot tighter, which is interesting. And if you're a member of the red cult, I just think there are two cults. If you're a member of the red cult, you probably should be worried. This COVID thing is also going to do some demographic moving. There's a lot of people moving out of New York City, lots and lots and lots. The ones with lots of money are moving like to Florida, to Miami, West Palm Beach. They're flooding out of New York, right? So they're going to go to Florida. That's more votes to Florida. You're going to see them move to some of the other rural states. So the rural states, as a result of COVID, I think the rural states will see some movement out of the blue states, out of the coasts. People who can work from home now and make the same amount of money. Well, if you're making what you would make in New York City, which is a pretty good amount, and you can work from home and you can live in a small town in Georgia, small town in Mississippi and Louisiana and make Georgia money and make New York money, you're buying a nice home on the water as opposed to an apartment. You're buying a nice home on the water in Mississippi, Georgia, wherever, as opposed to, a rambly shambly shack of a apartment in New York City. And you don't have to live there anymore. So everything's cheaper. So you're going to see some demographic changes as a result of COVID. But so, normally what I would expect, if I was predicting, I would expect it's Georgia. You're a fool if you don't predict both of the Republicans to win. So that would be the way to vote. Now, we are in odd and strange times. So it is possible that the turnout could be very, very high for the Democrats. They're just finishing very, very high turnout and some wins in the president, in a win in the presidential, lost in the House, but in presidential they won. So it's possible there could be a high turnout. They could still have their hopes up of taking the Senate, and it's possible they could win one or both of those seats. Afterwards, I tell you what, one of the things I can guarantee is going to happen if they lose one or both of them, they're going to blame the left. And if they win, they'll blame the left and say we should have won by even a bigger margin. If they win, they'll also say, well, we only won because we didn't go along with the left, all of the things that they want, like money to help people and health care for people and things. And we don't do that. We give money for war and we give money to Wall Street. That's what we do. And by we, I mean the Congress, period. It doesn't matter. I don't know if you were paying attention to this $2,000. I don't know if you were paying much of attention to the $2,000 check, but if you remember the red cult or the blue cult, here's what you're going to find out. You didn't get the $2,000. Donald Trump said, hey, they should get $2,000. Bernie Sanders says, yeah, I'm going to try to fight it. And 41 Democrats joined with the Republicans to stop it in the Senate. That's why we can't have nice things, as they say, right? So the idea that a couple of Democrats are going to win or a couple of Republicans and they're going to save the day, that'll change the dynamics when it comes to judges. Certainly the Senate will, can say yay or nay to judges. There's things that the Senate can do, but when it comes to Democrats and Republicans, when it comes to the empire war, they're agreeing. When it comes to Wall Street, they're agreeing. When it comes to giant bailouts for the corporations, subsidies for the corporations, et cetera, they're in an agreement. So is it really going to affect you on a day-to-day basis? no, you're going to get screwed. That's what you get if you're the little guy. That some Democrats are running around now saying, yes, if we win Georgia, we'll have the Senate and we'll be able to get the $2,000 through. Yeah. Will they really? 41 Democrats joined with the Republicans to stop the $2,000. Now the Republicans, that mad so-called, the Chicago school stuff, the Austrian economics, the magical economics that is libertarianism, right? Which is kind of what we're suffering from now. Basically says no matter what, you can give tons of money to the corporations and Wall Street and all that, but whatever you do, don't ever help the common man or woman, right? So that's where the Republicans are. There's no chance, no possibility they're going to help the little guy. The Democrats are pretty much the same now. They'll do a little bit if they have to, but for the most part, they're not worth a crap. They're there for war. They're there for Wall Street. They're there for big tech. They're there for oppressions of the little guy. When it comes to that $2,000, you know what they're doing now? They're putting bait on the hook. The Democrats are putting bait on the hook. 41 Democrats just voted with the Republicans to kill the $2,000 stimulus check. And now they're saying, oh, yes, by the way, if we win Georgia, you'll get the $2,000. No, you ain't getting the $2,000. They gave you $600. That's all you're getting. They didn't want to give you that. They don't like you. That's why I say that the blue and red are cults. The people who run these parties don't like you unless you're one of their millionaire donors. You are a annoyance to them. You are labor. You need a job. They don't like that. This is a financialized financial economy. Excuse me. This is not an industrial economy. We had an industrial economy before. An industrial economy makes things. Profits are raised by making things, right? No, we don't make things anymore. Profits are now made by big companies who have lots of money, and they invest that money, or they take a bunch of loans out. And when there's all of these loans, a bank has thousands of loans. It chops all of those thousands of loans into little bitty squares, and it sells each one of those. And then it chops those into squares and sells each one of those. It sells the same loans over and over and over until it gets to the point where, they've just cut them ad infinitum. It's like you keep cutting something until what you've cut is so thin that it's thinner than the blade of the knife. Well, that's what financialization does with loans and things of that nature in the market. And of course, because they don't pay much of anybody anything, and because they go to third world countries and use very cheap labor, they have lots of cash on their hands. These companies have tons of cash. So what do they do with all of that cash? They put it right back in the market. They invest it right back. Financialization. When a company gets money in the past, they would come up with a new product, right? Okay, we make widgets. We got lots of profit. What are you going to do? Let's invest in a new product. Let's build some new factories. We'll hire some more people, and we'll now create hula hoops. We'll come up with some. They don't do that anymore. Now, when they get a big chunk of money, they're like, okay, we got a big chunk of money. Shall we expand the production? Shall we come up with new products? No. Put it right back in the market, buy our own stock, raise the price of our stock. That's what they do. Buy some kind of weird financial instrument, some kind of a financial thing that they sell on Wall Street, and they'll give us whatever kind of interest on that. So all you do is you take money, you make these gigantic profits because you're screwing over your workers, and you're only hiring people, building factories in third world countries now, where you can pay people $1 an hour if they're lucky. And you take all that profit that you've made by firing all your US workers and moving to wherever, Vietnam or somewhere, and you put it back in the market, because now you make your money through financial transactions. There have been years when Ford Motor Company has made more money from Ford Credit. GM has made more money from GMAC, GM Credit, than they have from selling vehicles. That's a financialized economy, right? So the idea that somebody's going to bring jobs back, there ain't no jobs to be brought back. It's a financial economy. Jobs are needed in an industrial economy. That ain't what we got in the U.S. That's why workers are nothing but an annoyance. Voters are an annoyance. Voters want things. They want health care. They want a job. They want unemployment insurance. They want an opportunity to have a decent living. They want libraries and roads and things. And our government has no intention of giving them that crap. And recently they wanted $2,000. They ain't getting it. That's not what America does anymore. America gives money to the rich and nothing to you, and they give your money to the rich and you get none back. Although they did recently announce, there's been a recent announcement. The IRS recently announced that they're going to be able to audit more small businesses starting this year. Audit more small businesses. So if you got a big business, you can run rampant and spend money on everything you want. If you got a small business, you're going to get audited, and you know what that means. You're going to get screwed, blued, and tattooed. That's America. Screw the little guy. And people are like, well, you're not Garland. You're not true blue. I love America no matter what. Look. Let's just say there's somebody that has a father, and that father beats the crap out of him, abuses him, burns him with irons. I mean, just horribly abuses him. And somebody says, do you love your dad? The right answer would be no. You're supposed to love your father. You could say you love him because you're supposed to love him, but he abuses you, so you don't love him. So if you ask me, well, Garland, do you love America as it is right now, this neoliberal monster? Oh, hell no. You're out of your mind. That's brainwashed bullshit. I'm supposed to say, well, let me see. We're going around the world, overthrowing countries, stealing their shit, their oil, their lithium, overthrowing countries of poor people that are just trying to want a right to do whatever they want to do. And we're going around overthrowing their countries. Okay, well, I can overlook that. Well, I can't. Well, let's see. The American people are struggling right now, and they wanted a paltry, measly $2,000. And our Congress, who gave $5 trillion to the oligarchs at the beginning of the pandemic, can't give the American people $2,000. And I'm supposed to love that? I mean, the concept of America I loved. America as it actually is today, you got to understand what you're dealing with. You are dealing with a government that just, as they say, they just ain't into you. We are dealing with a government that looks out for the rich and sees the working class, the working poor, and the poor as an inconvenience, as hungry mouths to feed that they don't want to feed. And so while everything falls apart now, you know what they're going to do? They're going to build more tanks. They're going to build more planes. They're going to build more ships. They're going to build more things. They're going to protect the empire. They're going to protect their bases in Iraq and Afghanistan, in places that you've never heard of. All these bases in places you've never heard of, there will be unlimited money spent to protect them, or to be belligerent towards China or Russia or Iran or Venezuela or South America, Iraq, Cuba, right? And then they'll give you the rhetoric, oh, you've got to hate them because they're fill in the blank. Whatever the CIA says, they're socialists, they're communists, they're dictators, whatever. And if you are a member of the blue or red cult, you'll probably buy that. Me, I understand. I'm not a sucker. And so when my government tells me something, I start by saying, if the government tells me it's probably a lie, but I'm not going to automatically say it's going to lie, but I ain't going to trust it. So I go, let me go through all that to get here. I'll go through all that to get here. I ain't all that excited about the Georgia race because I'm not a member of either cult, and I see that, heads you win. What is it? Heads they win, tails we lose. So will the Democrats win? I don't like the Democrats, and they don't like me. Will the Republicans win? I don't like the Republicans, and they don't like me. And this idea that people had, that whichever party it is, because it's the same idea. Sure, my party's crap, but the other ones are so bad, I got to protect us. We would really be screwed if the other guys get in. Of course, you know what the other guys are thinking now. And see, that's what happened. The parties have gotten so bad. There was a time when people were like, yes, my party, we're going to get it done, man. I like my party. I'm blue no matter who. Oh, no, I'm red. Red is the way it is. People were like, really like their parties, right? They agreed with their parties. Oh, our party leadership is good now. Republicans hate Mitch McConnell. They hate him, and they should. Democrats, a lot of them hate Pelosi, and they should. So if your party is so bad that you don't even like them, and the best you can do is, yeah, but we're better than them, then you're a sucker. Why would you support? Why are you still supporting a party that's so bad you got to make excuses to yourself to support it? I'm not doing that. So I'm not like, oh, let's see who wins. Boy, if the Democrats win. Let me tell you, I don't think the Democrats really want to win Georgia. I don't think they do. Because their corporate overlords on Wall Street are like, look, we want a divided government. What we want is the Democrats to have the power so they can give us whatever we want. And we want a divided Congress. That way, anything that tries to go out like, oh, I don't know, a $2,000 check to Americans, they ain't getting. Anything that the American people want, they're not going to get. And the excuse will be, well, we can't get it past Mitch McConnell. Oh, well, I can't get it past Pelosi. So what happens is they play each other as a foil. They use the other one as a foil. I can't do it because the other one, and they play us as a fool because we believe it. Oh, well, if only we get rid of Mitch McConnell, oh, life would be great. And then there's the Republicans. Well, it's Nancy Pelosi. It's that cult of personality. You don't talk about the policies. You don't look at the long term, what your party is doing. You simply find some names to dislike, and you don't have to find them because your cult will give them to you. Your cult will demonize the other side. If it's Nancy Pelosi you want, you got her. If it's Mitch McConnell you want, she's all yours. Or he's all yours. Whatever the case. You get the picture. So something's going to happen in Georgia. I'll put it like this. Here's what I can tell you. Two people will get elected in Georgia, and those people will show deference to Wall Street. Those people will show deference to the war machine. Those people will show deference to their party leaders. And you know what they'll do? They'll do what's allowed. And you know what's allowed in DC? If you're a Republican, it's allowed to preach how bad the Democrats are, but you can't criticize your own party. If you're a Democrat, it is allowed to criticize the Republicans. Oh, that Trumpity, Trump. Now, Mitch McConnell's what, but it ain't allowed to say my leadership of my party is kind of crappy. How come? No. You support the leadership of your party and just play the game. And the game is, hey, the foil over there, the other side, they're stopping us from doing anything for you. Isn't it funny? Here's what I think's hilarious. I'm not saying that to be facetious. Okay, the Democrats can't get $2,000. Oh, they're hopelessly deadlocked. Oh, they can't get anything. Oh, it's just a dead end there, right? The Democrats can't get $2,000 for you, out because they're at war with each other. Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, blah, 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 whatever, right? They can't get that. And so I guess you would think that Congress is hopelessly deadlocked and they can't do anything. But at the exact same time that they can't get a freaking dime for you, you know what they did? They voted for a $740 billion defense bill. It was vetoed by Donald Trump. And they used a veto-proof majority, bipartisan, right? 2/3 of all people in Congress voted for the war machine. So we're supposed to believe that they're at odds. They can't, it's all locked up on Capitol Hill. They can't get anything done until the war machine wanted their money. And when the war machine wanted their money, what do you know? A bipartisan majority came together. Two-thirds of Congress will never come together for you. The 2/3, you know what? If this was half of government, you know what they'd say? You're getting $2,000 a month. And if Donald Trump tries to stop you, we'll override him with a 2/3 majority. It will override his veto. Now, that would have been something decent. That would have told you that the government's working for you, but that ain't what they did. They blocked you from getting the $2,000 that you deserved. Meanwhile, they came together 2/3 majority to overturn Donald Trump's veto of the military industrial complex's gravy train money, $740 billion. You got to be a fool if you can't see that. If you can't see what's going on there, if you're still caught in the red, there ain't no red and blue. There was no red and blue when it came to the defense, was it? When it came to giving all that money to the defense, there was no red and blue when it came to the beginning of the pandemic, and they gave $5 trillion to the oligarchs, the richest people in the world. Where was the red and blue there? You ever notice? When it's war, when it's money for the rich people, there's no red and blue. It's all purple. They can come together with a 2/3 majority to do it. If it's a freaking penny for the working man or woman, or the poor, or the people that can't work, or people that are struggling, whatever, if it's anything for you, all of a sudden there's a bipartisan fight, an intractable fight between two warring parties, and never the twain should. They can't get anything done. It's frozen when there's money for you. See, let me tell you, because it ain't a game. They ain't frozen. They just don't like you. They're just not there for you. They do what they're there to do. All right. My name's Garland Nixon. If you are able, some kind of way, I'm building a people have been helping me out. I'm building a little bit of a studio. I'm working on it right here. You can see I'm in my office at my desk, but I'm building a little bit of a studio, and I'm trying to put together some cash to do it. I'm hoping people will help me out. If you want to, if you have Cash App, it's $DC Radio Man. That's $DC Radio Man. I'm working on, again, my Patreon, and hopefully I'll get Snapchat. What do they call those things that you get in the chat? You know what I mean? Super chats and all that. I'll get that figured out hopefully before the end of the week. But $DC Radio Man, if you can donate, that would be fantastic. My email is garlandin, my first name and the first letter of my last name, garlandin@gmail.com. At Garland Nixon on Twitter, and garland.nixon on Instagram, and plain old Garland Nixon on Facebook. Don't hesitate to email me, whatever the case may be. Excuse me. What I meant to say was $DC Radio Man on Cash App. Thank you very much. If you like this video, share it on all your platforms. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Peace. I'm out.